Good afternoon, everybody. This is Trip from All Things Be Considered, where we discuss and analyze anything and everything as the world continues to fall apart. 18th November 2022. Let's discuss Sam Bankman-Fried. What a great name, right? The man who is frying the bank, so to speak. Although to say that would be a little bit inaccurate because FTX is not a bank, should never have been treated as such by investors. They are not required to have fractional reserves, and they all around are not insured or guaranteed. These assets are not insured or guaranteed by any agencies, including the FDIC. Do you see where this is going? So then, if you haven't looked up the Vox interview regarding SBF and exactly what it shows, what it reveals about his personality, I would strongly recommend you do so. If assuming that you haven't been living under a rock and that you've been keeping track of this messy situation involving the collapse of investor confidence in crypto. So, okay, the Vox interview, I think it reveals a great deal about his personality and about his inability to distinguish between, to know where the lines are between the philosophy of effective altruism and just the overall view that the ends justify the means. So here we go. It's Vox. Sam Bankman-Fried tries to explain himself, the fallen crypto CEO, on what went wrong, why he did what he did, and what lies he told along the way. Now, it's interesting to note that Bankman-Fried has had an intimate connection with some of these media outlets, including Vox. So much so that they had to put a disclosure in the article basically explaining that they had an ongoing project with his organization. It says, disclosure, this August, Bankman-Fried's philanthropic family foundation, Building a Stronger Future, awarded Vox's Future Perfect grant for a 2023 reporting project. That project is now on pause. Can you imagine the fallout that comes with realizing that somebody you were aligned with, that you had financial connections with, and an ongoing project with, is a guy who destroyed an entire platform and people's real money along with the process. But moving on. Interestingly enough, he talks about the attitude toward unethical behavior, and what he says about his longtime rival CZ is very, very interesting and telling. It says, quote, a month ago, CZ was a walking example of don't do unethical shit or your money is worthless. Now he's a hero. Is it because he's virtuous or because he had the bigger balance sheet? And so he won. So it's interesting because the response here was, so the ethics stuff, mostly a front. People like you, if you win, and hate you if you lose, and that's how it all really works. He says, yeah, I mean, that's not all of it, but that's a lot. The worst quadrant is sketchy plus lose, and the best is win. Clean plus lose is bad, but not terrible. So again, we see more of the philosophy of the ends justify the means. In his mind, it moving around, throwing around this incredible amount of risk and faulty assets based on these shitty ass tokens that were only worth something because the company said that they were, that the whole thing is justifiable, implying, if not outright admitting, that the whole thing is justifiable so long as he achieves a desirable outcome. Now, this really brings open the philosophical questions of where do you distinguish between the line of what is effective altruism, that is generating as much money as possible so that you can give it to good causes, and adopting this purely utilitarian philosophy of that the ends justify the means, and that the actions are good so long as the outcome is good. And we see from SBF that he doesn't seem to understand where these lines end and where they begin. This is bordering on classic sociopathic behavior. I think the young man is a sociopath who managed to get hold of managed to generate this very, very large platform that had all these glamorous deals behind it, including the naming rights of a sports arena and having the FTX logo on Formula One Mercedes cars, so on and so forth. The backing of major celebrities that people really look up to, and again, where I'm going with this is that millions trusted this fellow, and in the end, you had him the entire time, believing that these super risky strategies were okay, so long as it continued to generate more money and continued to generate more confidence that the whole thing wouldn't come crashing down in the end. It's incredibly disturbing, and he talks about CZ and how CZ is continuing to move on, not being a disgraced figure, and it really goes to show you um, that the truth is known about somebody when their operation collapses, and it really kind of makes you wonder how many other prominent figures like this, um, how many of them are out there, and the nature of them is not truly known because they haven't fucked up to this royal level that you have seen with SBF and FTX. Consider the fallout of all of this. This is more than just an insolvency crisis on a single firm. This is becoming a widespread problem, a contagion across the crypto industry. I mean, you look at the whole deal with Genesis and with other firms and with other platforms. This is rattling investor confidence in the crypto market. It's producing a situation. Um, it's producing a situation where you've now got people who are running smaller crypto mining operations that want to pull out of the whole thing because of the plummeting prices of crypto in general, which dates back, of course, to before the whole FTX crisis, obviously. But you're going to have the market become furthermore uncertain at a time where you've got this inflation and you've got these ever increasing costs of things like energy, and it's just going to become less and less a sustainable operation for people who are not part of the huge companies with these huge data mining, crypto mining centers. And it's going to be a market in which confidence is going to be rattled, and a lot of people are they're going to panic and they're going to pull out. And who knows, in the long term, this could end well in the long term for those who manage to stick it out. But it's going to get harder and harder for people to do so if they're losing their entire investments at a time where we've got a looming recession and further instability in the prices of all the resources that really matter. Now, it is beyond me how you've got this many people reporting that they have lost either all their money or close to all their money. How does that happen? I mean, I've been looking up, trying to look up as much of the stories as I can on Reddit and other more organic platforms. YouTube is so inorganic in relation to this because all you get are stories with the huge news media outlets. But I've been trying to figure out the psychology of someone who took that big of a risk with FTX because they really believed it was the next big thing. Is it because their favorite influencers were telling them to do so? Is it because their favorite celebrities were telling them to do so? I mean, what is going on there when someone puts their eggs in one basket to this extent? And my heart really goes out to anybody who has taken heavy losses on this. It's if they had put that money into something as conservative as a online savings account, even with inflation eating away at the interest, they would still be many times better off than what they ended up doing. This because the man decided that he was going to say, "Oh, to hell with it. We're going to take this risk, and we're going to move around all these, again, faulty assets that weren't theirs to move around. And if we produce the desired outcome, then we can continue on peddling the effective altruistic philosophy. We can continue on giving to what are ultimately objectively good causes, and we'll continue to be heroes." And SBF was regarded as a hero. Make no mistake about this. I love seeing all these people try to say that well, you've got two categories of people. You have some people that are saying that nobody could have possibly seen it coming, and I disagree. I think a lot of the red flags were there, and I think there were a lot of people that saw the red flags. They sounded off the red flags, and but at the same time, you have another category of people that were just fawning over SBF and over the platform itself. That YouTuber, who I'm not going to name, just this cringy video talking about how he's given this much money away and he's going to give even more money, and then in another decade, another 2 decades, he'll be the first trillionaire and he's going to give $1 trillion away. Okay, that's not exactly what he said, but you get the idea. The whole thing reeked of just people being high on hopium for this. That this was just going to grow and grow and grow and grow forever. And I'm thinking, did we learn nothing from what happened in 2008 with the securitization of mortgages, mortgage-backed security? Did we learn nothing from any of this? And the sad thing about all of this is that the causes that SBF was giving to are objectively good causes, in my opinion. Donating to research to try to better deal with climate change. Objectively good cause. Climate change is one of the single most biggest challenges of our time, and if we can't deal with the specter of climate change, we will not have a planet to live on. Pandemic preparedness. What kind, how could somebody say that it's not entirely important that we prepare for the next pandemic? Trying to solve diseases in the third world. Again, these are all objectively good causes, and the cynicism that's going to come out of this and against the philosophy, the altruistic philosophy, is going to be off the charts as the fallout of this all gets worse and worse. The right wing is already capitalizing on this. They are already talking about what a sham some of these efforts were, and they're already pointing out that SBF apparently gave a substantial amount of money to Joe Biden and to the Democrats in the 2022 election, and they're trying to spin this as evidence that this was somehow a deep state operation in order to fund Democrats and prevent the red wave from happening. Totally circumstantial evidence, but it doesn't matter. The Sucker Carlson and Ron DeSantis crowd have already decided that this is what's going on, and you can bet that this is going to inflame fiery rhetoric as the GOP now takes over the House. This is a colossal mess. It really is. And one of my biggest fears is that the rattling of investor confidence in the crypto market could spill over into a similar situation in other markets that don't have anything directly to do with the FTX and crypto fallout. Because FTX had a number of very large and important institutional investors. And in a global interconnected economy, the failures of one industry can cause ripple effects that can lead to the failures in other industries. So it's going to be very interesting to see just the extent to which there are going to be ripple effects through the economy. We should hope and pray that it is not ultra widespread, because with this looming recession and with these rising costs of essential goods, further instability, especially with the global food market owing to, but not limited to, the continuing crisis and war in Ukraine, this has the potential to be a bloodbath, and we will see as this further develops how much of one it will be. So the key points to take away from this discussion. Number one, the ends do not justify the means. One may think that producing the best possible outcome may further their cause in ways that will achieve the greater good. But when one fails to achieve such an outcome, people get hurt, things get hurt, and consequences are reaped that cannot be undone. In this case, FTX users losing their money, losing their investments, and ultimately suffering untold ill economic effects. I'm not so much worried about the celebrities who have lost funds in this. They will be just fine. But the regular people who put this into the platform in confidence that it would yield them real results, those are the ones we should be worried about. And those are the ones that should teach us the lesson. It is not okay to take gambles with their money and with their confidence because you believe you can achieve the greater good by doing so. Number two, if you cause harm, your purported goals and causes will suffer from a credibility crunch. Nothing SBF has done in the long term has actually done anything in a real way to fight the specter of climate change or to better prepare us for the next pandemic. We know that the American right capitalize on cynicism, disgust, and an outright mistrust of these causes. And we have now taken one step back in fighting climate change and preparing for the next pandemic, because these causes are further going to be associated with people who do not actually practice what they preach and do not actually practice ethical behavior when the spotlight is taken away from them. Finally, anything can become part of the broader economy because we live in an interconnected world where one thing that happens on one side of the globe happens on the other, and something that happens on one side of the economy happens on the other side. Gone are the days where an industry can go through a crisis and have the ripple effect stop at a given industry. This further illustrates the need to make sure that industries across the board are properly regulated and that due diligence is practiced by investors, both institutional and individual. If you like what you listened to today, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my other YouTube channel, Trip Wall, which primarily deals with piano music. Also, take a look at my website, The Stately Reindeer, at http://laysocialcritique.wordpress.com. Thank you for watching.